What we're doing here is it's a 92 Bronco that we're doing a conversion on. So I've stripped it right down to the frame, custom built brackets, the engine mounts. The differential has to be all taken apart so we can get welds underneath. And this is a 2014 F-150 5-liter motor. It's going to be brought in, dropped on it. Once it's dropped in, the frame's going to get painted, and then the chassis is going to get fitted back over it. And then all the electrical work will get done, the interior will get done. And it'll be running and driving like a 2014 F-150, but it'll be a 92 Bronco.
Yeah, oh yeah, I was quite young. Like I was about like 10, 11, 12, 13 when I actually started working on trucks a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I was pretty young.
That's pretty young.
Yeah, it's pretty young. And like I developed a huge passion for it. I absolutely loved it. And I didn't get along with kids very much in school just because I wasn't very talkative. And so working on trucks was just the answer to everything. Because as soon as I finished school, I would just run and just work on a truck. It would just distract. It was a good distraction, and it created a huge passion. When I can take something that's so plain and simple and turn it into something so complex and beautiful. Like when I can take like a basic vehicle or like a classic car. For example, like a lot of what we do here is a lot of classic car restoration. So we take this old rusted farm vehicle that nobody really cares about. We bring it here, we rip the body off it, we rip the frame out of it, we rip it in pieces, and we refurbish practically everything, and then we put it all back together, and it looks like it just came out of a showroom. And that's the craziest thing about this business. That's the most beautiful part.
That's amazing, yeah. So what kinds of sacrifices do you have to make, or have you made, to do what you do?
There's a lot of sacrifices you have to make. I'm sure with you and your schooling, you've experienced that when you have a passion for something or you love doing something, it pretty much consumes you. And so you lose your personal life. You lose touch with your family most of the time. It's very hard to keep friends. It's very hard to have any type of relationships. Because if you want to become successful and you don't have the support that many other people do, you pretty much have to let it consume you. And you have to work 20 hours a day, 7 days a week, as hard as you can. And it can't just be a passion of yours, you have to be so driven to make sure that it succeeds.
Right. So you said something about not having the support like other people do. So do you feel like in your life you haven't really had support like your peers have had?
I have a beautiful mom. She's an amazing mom. She's given me more support than anybody has in my entire life. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I've had a lot of people that have given me a lot of support over the years, and but the one thing that I've always struggled with is I don't have the safety net that a lot of other people are comfortable with. So if anything that I do fails, it fails completely, and I have to start from ground up again. And so, like I've never really had a father, and he was completely MIA during my teenage years, and he still is completely. And so anything I've done financially, it has to succeed, because if it doesn't, everything fails. That's what I mean.
Okay. So, like, what inspires you or keeps you going? I mean, that sounds like a lot of pressure to have on you.
It is a lot of pressure, but I luckily have 8 siblings, and they're all very much younger than me, and so the biggest motivation, the biggest inspiration has always been being the best role model I can possibly be. Okay. And there's nothing better than having a role model who had no support and made something out of it, and built something that nobody could take apart. Yeah. And I feel as though my siblings, looking up at that, they couldn't have a better role model. And that's what I strive for. That's the biggest inspiration and motivation that I have.
Why the name S Bros? Do you like
S Bros Enterprises? So,
yeah.
The biggest thing that I want, the biggest thing that I found to be a strength, like I told you, like motivation, inspiration, everything, has always been family.
Right.
And I have 5 brothers. And so I wanted to name this as Bros Enterprises so that hopefully when they're done school, they have something that they're a part of and something that they can contribute to and build in. I don't plan on being a mechanic forever, and so what I hope to do is build this company into something huge that they can take over and run with, so I can move on and move to different passions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we were to go back like 5 or 10 years, and like spoke to you 5 or 10 years ago, would you have believed that this is where you would be?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. I've been, that's the one thing about me is that I've always grabbed for something and reached for something, especially when I'm not ready for it. To open up the shop, I completely wasn't ready for it. But the biggest thing about taking steps forward and what I realized like five years ago was I'm not going to grow if I don't constantly keep doing things that I'm not comfortable with. And so that's why every opportunity that came up, I just grabbed it. And whether it worked out and didn't work out, I learned a lesson at the end of the day.
Right.
So I always knew that things would grow at an escalated rate, and hopefully it continues to do so.
Right. So I guess that kind of answers this question, but what kind of advice would you give someone maybe facing like similar kinds of obstacles that you've faced, who is wanting to pursue their passion or their dream?
Sit down with a piece of paper, write down your goal, ambition, your dream, whatever you want to do. Kind of contemplate where you are right now in life and what would happen if you just jumped and did it. So if your dream is to open up a shop, you have to sit down and wonder where you are right now in life, what your responsibilities are, what it's going to take to achieve getting a shop, and what's going to happen if it fails. And if you can line up all your ducks and say that if it fails, I can do this, this, and this to get back up and try again, then go for it. And if you can't line up all your ducks and it's going to end miserably, or you can't even get the shop, then just take a little bit of time, be patient, and just keep working hard. You have to keep working hard. If you take even a week break, you're going to fall behind everybody else. You have to keep working. The biggest lesson I've learned in life is always cut out the people that don't believe that you can do it. Always cut them out. Because what I've realized, especially with this shop, is everybody told me not to do it, and once I did it, now they all say that I can do it. And so it's a huge disappointment, and to just avoid that disappointment is just to cut those people out of your life. Just to cut them out in the beginning, because if they don't have your back and they don't support you while you're struggling and having a tough time getting there, they shouldn't be around when you're at the top. That's why.
Well, yeah, I mean, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Anytime. Glad you came by.
Yeah. I think that's about it.
All right.